So in some of the earlier episodes, might have been already a year ago, we talked about the distinction between intrapreneur and entrepreneur, and I think that I'm much more entrepreneurially bent. You're much more intrapreneurially bent. And so I say that to say David's a genius at all of the inner workings and things of that nature. And he called me on my way I called him on my way home this week as we were talking about what we're going to talk about today. And he said he still had some more ideas on throughput and how that shows up on the P&L. And one of David's strengths as a coach and consultant in this industry is P&L optimization, and how throughput is tied into that as well as leadership. And so David wanted to kick us off by talking about the throughput and how that's amalgamated with P&L optimization. And then once he wants to hand the baton off to me for the leadership stuff, he'll do just that. So how's that for an intro?
That's a great intro.
Kick us off.
I think a lot of operators, franchisees, treat the P&L and leadership as two separate things. Mm-hmm. And they're not.
Why? They're not.
They're not because, every number on your P&L is directly tied to leadership decisions. You got a food waste problem, it's a leadership issue. You've got a labor inefficiency, leadership issue. Sales are flat, leadership issue. Mm-hmm. I like doing, it's a little thought experiment, but I like looking at P&Ls and determining what type of leader and when I say leader, I mean the in-store leader.
Okay.
I think a lot of people, especially franchisees, think of themselves as the leader. They're the cultural leader. They're not the restaurant leader, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. And so when I'm using leadership here, I'm talking a lot about the restaurant manager, the RGM, the unit manager, whatever title your brand has.
Okay.
All right. And to me, a P&L is a report card on the leadership, period.
Okay.
And I think that, leadership shows up on every P&L line. It shows up on the sales line. It shows up on the food cost line. It shows up on the labor line. And I'm really cautious here that I'm not saying percentage, like labor percentage, cost of goods percentage. And I think we get a little bit bogged down in looking at percentages and not taking the whole picture into account.
Okay.
I know many franchisees that have made the stupid mistake of buying a franchise, and I'm talking now about existing franchises, of making the mistake of buying a franchise and saying, this franchise is doing $12,000 in sales a week or $50,000, whatever the number is. Mm-hmm. This is a great buy. Their food cost is a little high. Their labor percentage is a little high. Their food cost percentage is a little high. So I'm going to buy this franchise. That's a $12,000, $15,000, $50,000 a week franchise. And me and all my infinite wisdom can come in here and I'm going to cut their food cost by 2% or 3%. And I'm going to cut their labor by 3% or 4% or whatever. And then they get shocked that within 6 months, that $12,000 store is now only doing $6,000. Mm-hmm. Well, you didn't cut labor. You cut your labor percent. You cut your food cost percent, but you sure the hell cut the hell out of your profits.
Yeah, you don't put labor percentage in the bank. You don't put money in the bank.
Exactly. So I made a lot of notes, but I'll just read some of my highlights, and some of them are little bumper stickers.
That shows up too, though, with ARLs, above restaurant leaders.
It does.
They're not even ARLs. It's a misnomer. Talk about controllers. Like, oh, we got to cut labor. Oh, we got to cut labor. Oh, we got to cut labor. Like, oh, for God's sake, get over yourself.
They're not looking at the total picture. I mean, one of the thoughts I had when I'm driving around, I take care of your people, Your people will take care. This is a thing I harp on a lot, right? Take care of your people. Your people will take care of your guests. Your guests will take care of your P&L.
One thing, I had a conversation with a Little Caesars third generation franchisee this week who's soon going to be a Dave's Hot Chicken franchisee. And I used your line with him. I said, the employees are your customer. Right?
They sure are.
If the franchisee or the above restaurant leader takes care of the RGM and the in-store employees, those are their customers.
Right.
And if then they're going to be in a way better mood, morale's going to be way higher, do you think they're going to take care of the guests better?
Yep. And if they take care of the guests better, your P&L looks better.
Yes.
Period.
Yes. That's common sense, but common sense is not so common these days.
There are two types of QSR leaders, honestly. There's the cost cutter and the value creator.
I would call it the controller and the empowerer.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, same thing. The cost cutter QSR franchisee is the guy that looks at the P&L and tells all of his people, I want you to cut labor by 2%. I want you to cut your food costs by 2%. Manages by fear and pressure. And doesn't look at the whole picture and say, and then, in 6 months goes, your managers then are managing to percentages, especially if their bonuses and all of that are tied to food cost percent, labor cost percent, instead of being tied to profits or revenues.
Or development.
Turnover.
Yeah.
I mean, if your bonuses, if you have a bonus structure and you tie, and I'm not saying that food cost percent and labor cost percent are important. That's not what I'm saying. Data's important. But if you're so focused as a cost cutter QSR leader, franchisee, your people will hit it. They'll hit that 25%. If you say, okay, labor's 28%, I want it 25. Food cost is 30, I want it 28. They'll hit it. You're not going to like how they hit it, but they'll hit it. So instead of staffing for a busy time to get throughput, to get more customers through the line, more cars through the drive-through, they're instead instinctively saying, I can't have that person there. I can't have that $12, $15 an hour person there for an hour to get 150 more cars through drive-through or 20 more cars through drive-through and increase profits by $200 because I have to cut my labor. So instead of staffing efficiently when the store needs it, I hit my labor percentage, I get my bonus.
You hit your labor percentage, you get your bonus, but I mean, at some point.
And then the franchisee's like, why are my sales when I bought this franchise $15,000 and now they're half of that?
But it's just like training. If there isn't enough recovery, so to speak, pretty soon you're going to flatline. You're going to burn out. Yeah. And if you continue to be running during peak periods 5 people instead of 6 or 7, because you're trying to hit a labor percentage or a number, it's like, it's pretty myopic. I understand it from the number side of things, but these aren't numbers, they're people. And if you take care of them, they will take care of you.
Yep. The best QSR operators in the world are not number crunchers. The best QSR operators in the world are not number crunchers. They're leaders. The numbers will take care of themselves.
And this is coming from a guy who, when with Subway, I loved numbers. I loved it. And that's part of the reason why I'm so grateful for the experience I've had in a different concept where I'm back in the store, because I'm way more people focused.
When you're an above restaurant leader, you do become more. You become more aware of numbers. Data drives decisions more. My point is, don't let the data drive the decision to be a cost cutter.
Do you remember when I was probably less than a month into the job as your RGM at 3382, a store just down the road, and we were talking about what a good productivity number is in the control sheet. It's around 8. And so there was one day where you came in and I scheduled myself alone from open until 11 because Hunter was trying like hell to hit that productivity number. Had a line out the door by myself, just wheeling and dealing on the line. You came in from the back door, went to the register and was helping me out for throughput purposes. But that's what happens when your people become too numbers focused.
I wasn't happy, was I?
What exactly you said was, well, Hunter was trying his damnedest to hit that productivity number. And like I said, I was just going after a number.
Right.
I was going after a number. I'm going to schedule myself from open till 11 by myself, and we'll hit a productivity of 8.
Cutting costs does not automatically mean more profit.
No.
And I think a lot of franchisees in the QSR industry especially get confused about that. Cutting costs does not automatically mean more profit. You think it does, 1 + 1 = 2, money in, money out. But it's like, okay, if I add 2, I did some case studies. This is labor. Let me read this labor case study. Got store A, they're doing $1 million in sales. Store B doing $1.3 million. Okay. Labor percentage at store A, 22%. Labor percentage at store B, 25%. Oh, I like that 22.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Let's say food cost is the same for both stores. Let's 30%.
Okay.
All right. So the food cost for store A is about $300,000. Store B, 309, 330, 3,000, 309, 300,000, 390,000. I'm doing math in my head, right?
390,000.
Yeah, 390,000. Okay. Other costs, and by other costs, I'm talking about, other labor costs, FIFO, those kind of things. Store A, let's say 200,000. Store B, 250. Okay. Total cost for store A. Store A is doing $1 million. Total cost, 720,000. Food cost, labor, other cost, right? Store B, 975,000 total cost. Store B is doing 1.3 million.
Okay.
Store A is doing $1 million. Profit, store A, $280,000.
Okay.
Profit, store B, 325,000. At a 28% labor cost versus a 22% labor cost. So I, as a cost-cutting franchisee, look at a P&L for the store that's doing 1.3, and first thing that jumps out to me is they're doing a 25% labor cost. They should be doing a 22 or a 21. So I'm going in and I'm telling the restaurant leader, cut labor. I didn't cut labor, I cut profits. So they cut labor. They cut their labor, and I'm like, hey, look at Mr. Franchisee. Like you, look at Mr. Franchisee. I brought my labor down to 22% like you told me to. Cost-cutting franchisee goes, good job, good job, good job. The value-added franchisee goes, I just lost $120,000 in profit.
Yeah.
I'd rather pay that extra, whatever, $25,000 a year in labor.
Depending on the concept of losing that amount of money, I mean, there goes an AGM, there goes an RGM.
Well, there goes an RGM, but there goes customers. Because I, as a customer, am used to this store being staffed at a 28% labor cost when I go into that store. And now I'm going into that store, and that store is only there goes customers, there goes throughput.
Yep.
Because I'm not pushing,
No.
I'm not pushing as many customers through the line
And it's only going to continue to decrease because your people are going to start getting worn out. And then when they get worn out, they're going to get pissed off. And when they're pissed off, they're going to create a shitty experience. And when they create a shitty experience, then the customers aren't going to come back.
So if you
so how dare the ARL or franchisee blames the people?
Yeah, don't blame the people. You know, blame the. I am not advocating, nor am I saying, oh, my labor is 28%. Therefore, if I raise my labor cost to 30%, I'm going to increase my profits another $100,000. That's not what I'm advocating. I am advocating that you have the right labor at the right time. You know, so if to have the right labor at the right time, meaning instead of having 3 people at lunch, I'm having 5 people at lunch, so that I can get more bodies through my drive-through, get more cars through my drive-through, more bodies through the line, wait on more people, and then I'm increasing my profits.
Yeah.
I'm not advocating that I need to have 5 bodies from open to close. I'm advocating having the right bodies at the right time. We talked a lot last week about, you know, the 2 key times in most QSR restaurant, you know, lunch part, day, and dinner part.
Yeah.
Have the right bodies there and tell your manager, you know, if you're deploying the right bodies at 28% labor percent, but I'm raking in another extra $125,000 a year in profit, great. You know? So to me, I say all of that to say you can't do that without having phenomenal leadership in your restaurant. And I don't mean phenomenal. You got to have great leaders from the top down, because that's culture. But if you don't have...
But the change that you want to happen is in the store, not above it.
Exactly. Everything happens in the store, not above the store. Everyone above the store is to support. Your role is to support the person in the store.
Yeah, no shit.
Support.
Yeah.
You know, there's a big difference. There's a big difference. Yeah, there's a big difference. So I say all that to say you have to have a great developed leader in the store. And one of Hunter's biggest strengths is developing in-store leaders. Go.
Yeah. There was part of that conversation that I was having with that gentleman who's the Little Caesars franchisee. They own 43 Little Caesars in the Southwest. And he was talking to me about this manager that they have who's incredibly passionate for the job. He just got passed up on an area director position within their organization. And he came to them and he said, how do I get my name back in that conversation? And the franchisee said, you've got to get out of the store because right now you're overworked. And one of the things that you told me, that you empowered me with when I was a single unit manager for you, was asking myself 3 questions. Is the store going to run without me? Is it a crisis? Can it be solved tomorrow? And if it was bing, bang, boom on all of those, I was going like, I'm not going back in. I'm not going back in. Right? Okay. So I guess that begs the question, how do you make some of these things happen? How do you go from an overworked manager to a promotable leader? And I don't think I know that you can do it in a pretty rapid amount of time. I mean, how long did it take us to get back to pre-COVID numbers for both of your locations?
With you as the leader of the store, I mean, we were back quickly.
Right.
You know, 3382 got back quicker than 3981, but you know, quicker than the average QSR unit, I would say.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's simple. Simple doesn't mean easy, but there's a laundry list of things. And so I just made some notes before we started recording, and these are in no particular order. Do you have to do all of them? No, but these are the things that I've done that I think have had transfer to success in terms of getting a store turned around, or going from that overworked manager to becoming that promotable leader, that culture champion, if you will. So having note-taking time, if you're listening, again, these are in no particular order. Cold showers. First thing in the morning. As soon as you get up, take a freezing cold shower. And you might say, okay, this isn't the military. I'm not really trying to punish myself. Well, I would advocate that you overcome yourself. And that's one of the best ways to do that first thing in the morning. Because if you can overcome yourself first thing in the morning, then the rest of your day starts to get a little bit easier. And
well, that's one thing you and I have talked about is developing habits. You're really big on developing habits, even if they're not QSR restaurant related habits.
yeah, like
right?
fuck the routines of the store. Like I'm not like I think we get way too routine focused in terms of things like now. Am I saying that you don't ever check the applicant pool? You don't ever do like a temperature walk to ensure that you're not serving too warm of food in your cold line and too cold of food on your hot line? No, right? But I'm just saying, like, that is just so. That's what was that? That's permission to play, right? Like that's like brushing your teeth. Like, yeah, go and do those things. But that's not like, gonna make or break whether or not you're a fucking leader in the store.
I wrote. You said walking. So I wrote this down. It's funny because I wrote walk. I said walk the floor with purpose, not just presence.
Well, yeah, one of the things that you say was MBWA, manage by walking around. Right? Manage by walking around. So, yeah, cold showers. Do that first thing in the morning. Again, this might not be the way but it is a way that worked for me. Mm-hmm. And when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to me. So, hey, I think it works. It gets me in the right mindset. And other than the health benefits of taking a cold shower, you are awake and ready to go after that. And you feel good, right? Because you get the endorphins going, and it's a huge dopamine rush. You feel better as soon as you're out of the thing. And again, you've already done something hard. And then the rest of your day starts to snowball from there, okay? From there, as soon as I get out of the shower, I'm going into my office, and I'm a Christian, so I'm going to pray. And as far as exactly how that looks, I have two different devotionals. I'll read one devotional and then I'll read another devotional. Bob Goff, how you doing? I've talked to Bob on the phone. He's got a bunch of really great ones, and there's some prompts in there. He'll ask you, like, what's one thing that you can do to be a culture champion today? What's one thing that you can do to encourage somebody today? What's one person that you can pour into today? How can you make one person's day better today? And so that's a great prompt. And so I'll just write that down. And then from there, I write down 10 things that I'm grateful for. Now, people might roll their eyes at that and be like, oh, really? You're going to talk about the gratitude practice like every other fucking person on the planet?
Haven't I said that to you before? Hunter, make a gratitude list.
I mean, it really, there's more scientific and neurological evidence to show that when you focus on the good things in your life, that actually does begin to change your patterning in your brain. Because here's the thing. I talk about it in this book. 90% of the thoughts you have today are the exact same as yesterday, and they'll be the exact same tomorrow. So how do you change that? Well, you have to become conscious of your unconscious thoughts, which means you have to start thinking about what you're thinking about. And one of the best ways to do that is just writing down what you're freaking grateful for, right? Whether it's the weather, whether it's some of you know that I have cats, whether it's my freaking cat hanging out with me on the back of my chair, whether it's me being really excited to figure out whatever it is that I'm doing after this, which is writing, and I'm writing another novel right now, and all these things. Just, it could be anything. You have got a plethora of things to be grateful for. Write them down, and I challenge you to do that, because I have a hard time believing that you won't be in a better mood after you do that. And then from there, I believe that we got to create something. Guys create. We use our hands, whatever that may be, and don't be ashamed of it. Like, I'm a writer. That's my art. You might want to be the next Mozart, right? You might be the next closet Claude Monet, and nobody knows about it because you're too ashamed to go out there and practice in front of a blank canvas. Why? Right? Stephen Pressfield talks about in his book, The War of Art, the writer who doesn't write, the painter who doesn't paint. It's self-sabotage. You're only hurting yourself. And what you'll find, I'm working with a gym owner right now on leadership consulting, and he asked me, "Hey Hunter, how would you handle one of his employees? There's some people issues going on." And he's like, "How would you handle this?" And I said, "So and so, I would actually handle it by not handling it." He said, "Well, what do you mean?" And I said, "Well, honestly, the best answers, solutions to things that are hampering me at work, all the answers seem to come to me at the track, right? I'll just go and do something else. So go shooting, go fishing, just do something completely unrelated to the problem in front of you, and a solution will just pop."
I mean, one of the things that I do, is I will drive around, get in my car, and just drive without the radio on, without, the phone shut off, without the radio on, and just drive.
Henry Ford said, and if you don't know who Henry Ford is, have you ever heard of Ford? Okay, yeah, one of the biggest motor companies in the world. He said, "Thinking is one of the hardest things a man can do, which is why so few partake in it."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're dead on with that. So go handle it by not handling it. So if you're not sure how to figure out a scheduling issue, if you're not sure how to figure out how to deal with this problem in your store, if you're not sure how to figure out how you're going to deal with your food waste problem, handle it by not handling it. Mm-hmm. And I think that one of the best ways as guys is to pick up that pencil if you're a writer, pick up that paintbrush if you're a painter, pick up that microphone if you're a singer, and don't be ashamed about it. Like, flex, do your thing, right? And then from there, I'm gonna work out. I'm a sprinter. I've got a big background in athletics, whether it's champion powerlifter or most recently a professional football player. But sprinting, I just told David before we hit record, I did the 23-second drill today. And the reason why, I actually talked to my wife about it as we were falling asleep last night. I said, "Honey, 23-second drill tomorrow?" Because she has to time me. And if you don't know what the 23-second drill is, here's what it is. You're on a track, and your wife or girlfriend is somewhere on the other side of it, and as soon as you go, the timer starts. You sprint as far and fast as you possibly can for 23 seconds, and my wife will mark where I get after 23 seconds, and then she'll walk off 5 meters in front of that cone. I take an 8-minute break, and just so you know, that is not full recovery. If you're going to get full recovery I can get about 200 meters in 23 seconds. Full recovery for a 200 meter is 20 minutes. 1 minute for every 10 meters covered. 8-minute break. And then you do it again. And you try to get within 5 meters of your first mark. When you're done, you feel like you just drank a bottle of Anthrax. I told David, I sometimes I'll just time how long it takes for me to get back on my feet. 10 minutes and 42 seconds I was writhing on the ground. Because once that lactic acid comes in, you're done. You're poisoned. And it just gets worse. And there's nothing you can do about it, but just sit there and take it. But I do all of that because as I was falling asleep last night, I said, I think doing something really hard tomorrow will make everything feel easier. And that's exactly what it does. Because I think one of the biggest problems that prevents a manager from becoming a leader, much less a leader worth promoting, is the inability or unwillingness to address conflict.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Address conflict, whether it's firing somebody, whether it's having a crucial conversation with somebody, whether it's coaching somebody up on to stir, scoop, and tap the fucking beef, right? So you can meet your food waste number, whatever that is. It's way easier. It's a complete joke if you do hard things. And so I'm already stacking hard things before I even go into work. Cold shower, and then writing 1,000 words, right? And then punishing myself at the track or in the weight room. And then when I step on the floor, it's like, oh, okay, this job is a joke, right? It's a joke. It's a joke. Right now, so then that begs the question: well, what do you do when you're actually on the job to go from manager to becoming a leader? Well, if the animals are running the zoo in your store, you have got to put up an attendance chart, and you've got to hold people accountable to it. Track attendance. What does that mean? Okay, well, you're going to have a list of names for so if I'm trying to conceptualize this for you, if you're listening and not watching us on YouTube, you have a column for the person's name. You have a column for if they were tardy And if they were tardy, how many minutes were they tardy? And you have a column for did they call off? Did they follow the attendance policy? Whatever the attendance policy is for your concept or company, right? Did they find coverage? All of those things. And then it's up to your discretion as to whether or not you're going to write them up. Now, some companies are a little bit more lenient with as far as what it takes to actually administer or issue a write-up. If you're like David and I, we were a little bit more cowboy with it, legally, morally, and ethically, of course.
Right.
But that's one of the best ways to instill accountability. Oh, and by the way, people want that in their store. They want a leader who's not going to take any shit, because because it's refreshing. It's like, oh, this guy's no bullshit. Oh, okay, cool. It's just like what you told me, David. Running a store is like running a family, just at a larger level. Mm-hmm. And if you put boundaries in place for your children, they will feel more safe to play within those boundaries. Right. It's no different than with the people at your store.
And we've talked about this a lot, and I want to reiterate it because I think a lot of people get caught up in this. There's a difference between being nice and being kind. Nice avoids the difficult conversation.
Yep.
Kind has the difficult conversation.
Yep.
People want kind leaders. They don't want nice leaders. Nice leaders are pussies.
Yep.
And I can take advantage of the nice leader. Mm-hmm. And if I'm a high performer, I don't like the nice leader because he lets that person get away with stuff.
Yep.
So there's a difference between being nice and being kind. You need to be a kind leader.
Mr. Pena said, when I was in business with him, he said, be firm but fair.
Right.
Be firm but fair.
Yeah.
And so after moving on from attendance, hopefully that's like the number one thing, especially in this thing, because you got to get people to show up, right? You got to get people to show up.
Yeah. If you want to deploy people in the right positions, if you want to get, have great throughput numbers, people have to be there. You need bodies.
And once you're in the store, if you're trying to transcend from that manager to leader, you've got to know the priority. And then everything else can just kind of go by the wayside. Whether David and I were working together, we knew what the priority was. It was very simple: food, cost, and labor. Mm-hmm. Period. Right? We had to hit those. Okay, great. Right? If you're in a different concept, you have to know what the priority is. In this industry, there can be a confusing tendency to try and figure out what is actually important, because many times it feels like everything is important. But if everything is important, nothing is important, period. And so that begs the question, well, Hunter, how do I figure out what's important? Well, your boss, whether it's the ARL or the franchisee, if you pay attention to him or her, they will show you. Like, don't listen to what they say, watch what they do, right? And so if they're updating you every day with food cost, that's probably the priority. If they're updating you every day with speed of service, and whatever they are micromanaging you or updating you the most frequently on, that's the priority. Go after that thing, right? And then everything else, again, we've talked about the book, The One Thing. I forget, I'm trying to give credit to this author. I don't know what the name of the author is, but if you figure out what the one thing is, the priority, everything else becomes easier. Now, in this industry, David and I talk about, well, it's obviously throughput. Because if you can push as many cars possibly through, it's classic 80-20, right? And again, for those who didn't listen to last episode, the 80-20 principle means 20% of your efforts will yield 80% of the results. So if you know what the priority is, go after that. Don't dig a mile wide and an inch deep like so many people do in this industry. Dig an inch wide and a mile deep. Did you get the author?
Gary Keller and Papasan.
Gary Keller. Yeah, that's who it is. Gary Keller. Did you like how I knew that's what you were doing?
Yep.
Gary Keller. Yeah, The One Thing. It's a great book. So know the priority and then F everything else. I'm serious. Because if you know what the priority is and you just knock the cover off the freaking ball on that, then everything else tends to become much easier to attain or just completely obsolete, right? This is speaking from me personally. know your weaknesses or know what you don't want to do. There's a Coach Joe Ken. He was a mentor of mine in the strength and conditioning industry. When I was in the industry, he was the head strength coach for the Carolina Panthers, and he had a saying that always went like this: I know what I know what I don't know, I know what I need to know, and I know what I don't care to know.
I mean, this goes back to, way back when we first started the podcast, and I had a little acronym that I use called HIVES. And
David has hives.
And the S was self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you know, and you know what you don't know.
Yeah. So like for me, when I'm in a store, the first two things I try and get off my plate are schedules and any like bogus like busy work. Mm-hmm. You might call it a roll up, you might call it a routine, like whatever, right? Like that's not where I operate. Like the X's and O's aren't really my thing. I know enough to be dangerous, but I'm looking at the people and putting them in the right seats. And so this thing can go without me, because that's what I always try to do. That's the entrepreneurial bug in me. How quickly can I get this place to run without me, right? So know your weaknesses and then delegate those things, right? If you're a square peg, don't shove yourself into a round hole. That's self-sabotage, right? Get those things off your plate to people who are good at them and to people who want them. I've talked about BK, my newest AGM at my store now. He's phenomenal at the X's and O's. He's a technician.
Right.
Okay, so BK, you're gonna take those things, right? Because that is like his superpower, his zone of genius. That's not my thing, right? So like I know my weaknesses. You take them. Those are clearly your strengths. Then there's this one here, and this applies to strength and conditioning as well as it does in QSR. Wherever the problem is, like in our speak would be day part. Deploy yourself there and then begin to peel back. So if late night, and that's typically always the problem when you need to turn a store around, is late night. If you need to work a couple of closes to begin with, sorry. Like if it was easy, everybody would do it. Right? So if you're working some 5 p.m. to 3s, you might have to do that. But then maybe you do that for a period.
Yeah.
28 days.
I always question the manager that said to me, "Oh, I don't close."
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you're not going to last long.
That was the first thing that I did when I was at the store that I'm at now in the fall. Is I just worked a bunch of closes.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that you should be closing all the time.
No. But then from
like
there,
you said, work yourself away.
Yeah. So you peel it back. So what does that mean? So if you're working some 5 p.m. to 3s, then you can do some 4 to 2s, then you can do some 3 to 1s, then you can do some 2 to 12s, then you can do some 11 to 9s. Then that's where the sweet spot is for our gym. 11 to 9, 10 to 8 thing.
Yeah. You've deployed yourself where the problem was for an interim amount of time. You don't deploy yourself there for indefinite amount of time. Mm-hmm. And you need to determine that ahead of time. Yeah, I am going to deploy myself to closing as the RGM for 3 weeks. And if this isn't turned around in 3 weeks, then it may be a staffing issue, whatever. Mm-hmm. But once you've solved all those problems where you've deployed yourself, then you as the RGM should be at the most profitable day part.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then the question that might come up with that is, well, Hunter, what if my ARL or even the franchisee is saying, I need you to work through people more. I don't want you at those day parts. Well, then what do? Well, then you have to, again, try and get the ARL or the franchisee to see past the next day part, right? So they gotta have vision. They can't be myopic. And you need to start having conversations with the people that are deployed on those nights, or you might have to start recruiting from other stores and things like that nature, and things of that nature. People who do work those day parts and people who do want to move up in the company. They do want to make this a career, and so you can sort of have that as a carrot, being legal, moral, and ethical about it. Okay.
And if you make a promise, keep a promise.
No shit.
That's a biggie with me, with restaurant leaders, with franchisees, with above restaurant leaders, is that if you make a promise, keep the promise. If you tell someone, I'll call you tomorrow, call them tomorrow. If you tell someone in 3 weeks, you're going to sit down and we're going to have a conversation about you taking over 2 stores, becoming an MUM. But one, if you make a promise, keep the promise. But don't make a promise if you don't have the ability to deliver that promise.
Right.
So if you're an above restaurant leader and you say, I'm going to make you a this,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to go 3 more steps above yourself to make them that, don't make that promise.
Right. And so one thing that,
unless you've already gone those 3 other steps and they said, yeah, make it.
yeah. And so that's the biggest challenge, I think, for an RGM, because you can just go in and flip it and flip it and flip it. Okay, okay, we're having problems here. Oh, I'm just going to deploy myself there. Right. So it's kind of a paradox, because yeah, you do need to deploy yourself there maybe initially to develop the empathy to be able to communicate with people, because you know it, feel it, and things like that. Right. But at the same time, if you're getting pressure from your above restaurant leader, be like, hey, you need to be working more mids. We want to start seeing you work through people more. Well, then you just need to have conversations with your people as far as just being like, hey, here's the deal. First, you have to know what it is that they want, and that's on here as well, which is the next one, actually. Right underneath that is having one-on-ones. What is it that this person wants, right? And help them get it, but then also help them conceptualize and realize that where they're at right now can get them to where they want to go. And you will, as David said, keep the promise of you helping them get there. But then also just being very real with them and saying, like, yeah, here's the deal. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save you. You're going to have to claw yourself out of this thing. Because right now, I'm just being transparent with you guys. I'm getting pressure from the above restaurant leaders that I need to be working more mids right now. We're starting to move towards summer. I need to be support. I need to have support during lunch and dinner. So that means I can't work a whole lot more late nights right now. So what do we need to do for you to get through this thing? Because here's the thing. The no one's coming to save you mantra transcends these 4 walls. Like, that's life, right? So at some point, you're going to have to find out a little bit about yourself and figure out if you've got what it takes. Oh, and by the way, there's more to you than you think there is, right? So you most definitely can do it, because if I've done it, you can do it. This guy right here used to be my boss, and he hounded me initially when I was the RGM of a Subway. I still have the timesheets to show it. First couple of weeks in the job, David was like, Hunter, you are working 87 hours a week right now. No bullshit. 87 hours a week. You can't do this.
Was I happy about it?
He was not happy about it.
I was not happy about it.
I mean, I was happy about it. I had a nice check. But, but then I bumped it down to 62 hours a week. You can't do this. Like, you're going to burn yourself out. Next couple of weeks, 55 hours. Like, he's still on me about it. And then it wasn't until like maybe 6 weeks in that I finally got myself down to 35 to 40. But, right. So I say all of that to say, like, I've been where you're at. If you're there, it is temporary, but you've got to at some point you're going to choose your heart, really choose your heart. You can sit there and just be a victim and be like, oh, this fucking sucks. I'm not going to be able to get out of this thing. There was one night when I was first at one of the stores and I was working closes. And a kid, great kid, big heart, awesome worker. It became around 11 p.m. and we just started getting slammed. And he just hung his head and he goes, and this is where it usually falls apart. And I was like, not tonight.
Yeah.
Right? Not tonight.
You know, you talked a little bit about the person you're going to be coaching on burnout. And, you know, that goes back to the let go to grow.
Yeah.
But I think that, you know, myself, 87 hours a week, my partner and I did ungodly hours, is that we have to get to a point mentally where it's not all on us, or that I have to do it.
Yeah.
Only I can do it.
That's not leadership.
Right. And I think that's a big thing, and a big thing, especially in our industry, especially in QSR, is that you are a less effective leader at 87 hours than you are at 40. You are, and if you're a less effective leader, and we go, go back to P&L optimization, where every single line is the result of leadership. So if you think by working 87 hours a week, you are going to solve all the problems of your store, and your store is going to become profitable, and your store is going to have great food, great, waste percentages, and you're going to have great labor and all of that. No, you're not.
Yeah.
Because you're a less effective leader at 87 hours a week. And I think we get caught up in that as leaders, is that the more hours I work, the better it'll be.
Yeah, more is not better. It's like sprinting. It's like sprinting, right? You can either run 40 yards in 4.3 seconds, right? Or you can just trudge through this mile that just your gait looks like dog shit, and you're just not really going anywhere fast, right?
Right.
So I would much rather have the sprinter mentality where I'm going to work 40 freaking amazing hours rather than 90 so-so ones.
Right. And those 40 hours are spent. You tell me what percentage, Hunter, because you're more, leaders. What percentage of those 40 hours are developing new leaders? Developing the leaders so you don't have to do the 87.
Right now.
Of those 40 hours, you walk into a store and you say, I am limiting the amount of hours per week I'm giving to, I'm going to do, whether it's 40 or 50. Of those 50, let's say it's 50. Of those 50 hours, what percentage of those hours are spent on development versus operation?
Almost once you get things a little bit stabilized in terms of metric attainment and things like that, I'd say 15 to 20.
15 to 20% is spent on
15 to 20 hours.
15 to 20 hours of the 50 is spent on leadership development.
Yeah, typically happy hour. I'm not making anything. So from 2 to 5 every day, I'm not making anything.
Right.
That's the time for our newer people who want to get better at food, since there isn't as much traffic. Like, you guys are on the line, figure it out.
Right.
Get your ass kicked. I don't care. Because the business isn't
fail to win.
Yeah, sink or swim.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm also, we're having a gal come over, and I made a promise to her that, hey, we're gonna get you certified to become a manager at the end of P8, if not P8, P9. Right. So, by the way, I'm gonna open up my Wednesdays for you, because Wednesdays I'm not on the floor at all. Come on over. We're going to start training a lot during that time. So then that's going to make it even more than that. It's going to make like half the time I'm developing and things like that.
So you're using 15 to 20. For some reason in my head, I would think if you have a stable restaurant, you deployed yourself to the problem areas, you've solved those problems, blah, 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 blah. Now I'm operating a restaurant. I am the RGM operating a restaurant.
Maybe if I was working for you, it'd be way more.
Yeah, I mean,
it'd be way more.
In my head, the biggest percentage of time of an RGM is developing.
Yeah, I mean, anybody, because I've heard comments.
And developing can mean a wide variety of things. It can be training on formulas, training on this, that's developing an employee. But it can, so I don't, versus I'm there taking orders, or I'm there making the taco, or I'm there making the sub. What percentage of time is you showing someone how to make the sub or working with them versus you physically?
Yeah, rarely do I ever show somebody how to make a burrito. We have team trainers for that and other things. But I've also heard peers and above restaurant leaders, tell me that they've made a comment like, oh, Hunter, you need to work on your speed, or like the manager should be the best taco maker in the store. What the fuck? I think that's just so stupid. Because then what you're doing is you're creating dependency.
Right.
You're creating dependency. Absolutely not. Can I hold my own on the line? Yeah. Am I the fastest? No. Do I want to be? No. Right.
Your job is to develop the fastest.
Yeah. So, so then going back to that problem where you're having to work through somebody at night when you aren't there, is you might need to be morally Machiavellian. So what do I mean by that? Like, hey, so-and-so, we only have a certain amount of hours. Like, if I'm Dan Campbell, head coach of the Lions, I'm going to play the best person, right? We got somebody coming over here. They're starting next week. They really want to do well. They really want to have this new promotion coming up, right? Like, at some point, I'm going to have to make a decision. Doesn't mean I hate you as a person. I love you as a person, but I also have a business to run.
Nice and kind. Yeah. I mean, that's the biggie with a lot of employees is that, and I go, we've talked a lot about this team versus family kind of thing.
Yeah.
But ultimately it does boil down to, we have a business to run. We have profits to make.
Yeah.
Profits are not a bad word at all.
Nope.
That, especially in the United States, we all, our life revolves around making a profit.
So from there, one-on-ones, very crucial. Again,
Love one-on-ones.
People know what to do, but they don't do what they know. Like that's a buzzword that gets thrown around this interview. One-on-ones. And it's not something stupid and quarterly that your bosses will have you give some stupid corporate speak about. Like, you actually figure out what the one-on-one is, and the one-on-one just needs to consist of one question: what do you want?
Yeah, you're coaching.
What do you want?
You're coaching in the moment instead of at the performance review.
Right.
You know what I mean? A leader is a coach. You've said this, I've said this. The leader is a coach. You're constantly coaching. You're coaching in the moment.
Yeah.
And that coaching is part of coaching is one-on-ones.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean, and I see this a lot where we get into all this structure where you need to have a one-on-one with every single one of your employees, documented per quarter. Then it just becomes a forced checklist.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. No connection happening. I love them, actually love them. And again, this is a bit of a dichotomy because you and I don't believe in, like, we're a family, like, right? But at the same time, as Christians, we are morally obligated to love them. Right.
Yeah.
And I tell my people I love them. I give them hugs after we have our one-on-ones, and I tell them I love them. And they kind of look at me sometimes, and then there'll be like a little bit of like the brain just short-circuited, and then they'll be like, I love you too, man.
Yeah.
It's like they never had somebody tell them that before. Yeah. So I think that's important. Mm-hmm. I think that's important. And I've actually been affirmed, because I was talking to you about that book that I was reading, Tough Minded Leadership by Joe Batten. Yep. He talks about love. Yep. Right? He talks about actually loving
I
your
genuinely
people.
Want to get a thrill. I mean, I get an orgasmic thrill out of employees that succeed.
Yeah.
I want every single person that works for me to succeed.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm always trying to work myself out of a job. That's how I see success.
Yeah. I mean,
how do I work myself out of a job?
Yeah, I want them to succeed because success breeds satisfaction.
Yeah. How do I get my newest AGM right now to take my job? Because then that's gonna be better for his future and his family. But then it also opens up the position in the store for another AGM.
Yeah, I mean, that's the lateral success. The guy that comes in and is just, I celebrate the small wins. I've got this kid that we had a one-on-one with who had a tardy problem. Mm-hmm. And every time he was 5 minutes earlier on time, it was like, yeah. Yeah. I'm celebrating the small wins because I want him to succeed.
The gym owner that I'm consulting with, he had a guy who had a big time attendance problem. Mm-hmm. And that was the first thing I told him to do. I said, have a one-on-one with him. And he said that the kid just broke down. There were tears. He finally figured out what was going on in his life, and he was able to empathize with them. He said, and this isn't hyperbole. I'm not placating myself when I say this. I hate the word client, but I don't know what else to call him. Like, my client told me, he said, Hunter, he hasn't been late since. Yeah. It's like, gee,
right?
I mean, because we took the time to get to know the guy,
right?
And what's going on with him? He felt seen. He felt heard.
Right. What's happening in his life?
Yeah.
And if it's something that's impacting, like, this is what's happening in my life. we're down to one car. The other car broke down. My wife has to get the kids to school by 8, so I can't get here till 8:30.
Yeah.
And
well, scheduling purposes say that by the powers that be
Right.
that you can't come in during the middle of the day part. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
you know?
okay,
Yeah.
I understand what's happening in your life. Let's see if you and I can sit down and work this out. You know what? If you talk to Bill over there, Bill's been coming in at 8:30. Maybe he can come in at 8 and you can come in at 8:30.
Yeah.
Bill's like, yeah, sure, great. You know, because you had that one-on-one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying, you know what, you're fired, you've had 5 tardies.
Yeah. Yep.
And so you just fired someone that may become, a great backbone of your business.
Yeah.
Or may already be a great backbone of your business.
Mm-hmm. The one piece that you talked about was celebrating small wins.
Yeah.
If you want to become a leader, you have got to be a recognition machine.
Exactly.
You've got to be a recognition machine. People work for paychecks, but they die for recognition. Does that mean that you're going to be a little bit more engaged when you're not in the store? Yep. But hey, that's the job, right? So, but what you'll start to see is that if you do it long enough and you do it frequently enough, meaning over time, months, but then also frequency in every day, you'll begin to build a recognition flywheel, right? And other people will see that and they'll start doing things because they want recognition. Then people start recognizing each other organically. The best analogy that I used when I was talking to that Little Caesars franchisee about this troubled manager is I said, it kind of works like this. Again, sprinting analogy. Derek Hansen is a mentor of mine. He's the one that helped me transform from powerlifter to sprinter. An analogy that he gave me is going from acceleration to max velocity. He said, Hunter, if you turn a bicycle upside down and the wheels are just exposed, how do you get the wheel going fast? You have to grab a lot of tread and do big, long pulls like this. It takes a lot of effort. There's a lot of grinding going on, these big, powerful pulls. That's how you get it going. So yes, it's going to take more engagement. It's going to take more hours. It's going to take more duration of recognition to get the thing going of this flywheel of recognition for your culture. But then once it's going top speed, right, i.e. max velocity, when you're sprinting, what do you do at max velocity? I mean, the only difference between sprinting and flying is ground contact. So when the wheel is going really fast, to just keep it going fast, you just slap it from the side. Bang, bang. Just a touch here, a recognition there, a good job there, and I love you here, a one-on-one there, right? And that's how you get this.
Genuine,
Yeah.
not fake,
Right.
because every single employee can tell if it's genuine or fake.
Oh yeah, people have really good bullshit detectors.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's the sprinting analogy for the recognition flywheel, but that's how it works, right? Yeah. Lots of effort, lots of time, lots of frequency to start, right? But then once you got the thing going, it doesn't take as much to keep it going, right? And that's how you build that recognition flywheel. And what we're really getting all towards here at the climax, if you will, is, well, now you're a culture champion. And that's really what you are. If you want to go from RGM to leader, one that's worth promoting, is you got to create a great culture. And whatever that is for you, don't limit yourself. Again, we love to use AI to make us look like we had pictures of us turned into butterflies this week when we finished number 1, stormtroopers, werewolves. Yeah. Right. And just post it in there when you go number 1, and we call the store at late night or dinner when we shut the lobby down, Club Riv. Like, we get EDM going, all these things. It's the difference. It's not the difference, but it's the distinction, as you say, between a circus and a morgue, right? You can't
find a balance.
Yeah, you can't have a bunch of zombies walking around, but you can't have people.
The clowns running the show.
Yeah, you can't have people throwing entire bags of lettuce at each other either. Right. But I mean, dancing, having fun, laughing, cracking jokes. There was like during dinner last night, it was just the guy that I keep mentioning, my newest AGM. He was doing this thing where another one of my shift leads, Jared is his name, he would talk in like a thespian voice. I don't know why I thought it was so funny, but he would just way over the top exaggerate, like good one, Jared. And we would all just start busting out laughing. It's like those little things, right? Those little things. Another thing that you can do if you got cameras in your stores. If somebody has a huge goof or a mess up or a gaffe, right? Like, timestamp that. Like, okay, I'm gonna go look that up at the cameras, then post in the group chat. Now everybody's having a ball, laughing. Like somebody just like dropped a bag of straws on accident, and there's straws everywhere, and they like you see themselves like like capture that moment, record it, screen record it, and put it in your chat. Like it's those things that make work not feel like work.
And if you don't think that your customer can't sense that the minute they walk in the door, you're wrong.
Yeah. I mean, there was that one night where there was a couple nights where I was working more late nights where the customers wanted a fraction of the action.
Yeah.
When we would come in and when they would take it, when we take a picture.
How come we want in the picture?
Yeah, we want in the picture,
yeah.
right?
Right.
So anything else on that?
No, I mean, I think that's great. I mean, this is a good point to wrap things up. The biggest thing that I want to get across, and I think we've gotten across to me, is take care of your people. Yeah. Your people take care of your guests, and your guests take care of your P&L.
Yeah.
You know, and if you want examples of it, the two probably right now today most successful QSR brands in the industry are Chick-fil-A and Raising Cane's. And I can tell you they both have higher labor percentage than average, and they both pay their employees above fair market value. And if you walk into any Chick-fil-A and you walk into any Chick-fil-A at lunchtime and you count how many staff are on and there's 75 people working, they're pumping throughput big time. So take care of your people.
And you can tell that they actually mean it when they say, my pleasure.
Exactly. You take care of your people, your people will take care of your guests, and your guests will take care of your P&L, period.
So with that, David alluded to us wrapping up. So share the show. If you like this show, share it, post about it, subscribe to it, give it a thumbs up if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to it if you're on Spotify. If you're that type of leader or that type of manager who wants to transcend into that promotable leader, another great resource, pick up my book, The Way, How to Self-Sabotage and Self-Mastery. You can pick that up on Amazon. Just waiting for this guy to finish his book on servant leadership. So we need to kick this guy in the to get that thing out there, because I can't. I've read numerous drafts. It's a good one. Can't wait for it to get out. And then lastly, we'll put in the show notes as well. Download the Fast Food Fast Track playbook. There's a lot of good tools in there. Again, here's the thing. Like if you're in fast food, David and I have already talked about it. We talked about it ad nauseum last episode. We talked a little bit today. Throughput's the name of the game. Throughput is profit, as David says, right? So in that whole thing, it's 100% free. You're going to get a throughput calculator that's going to show you how, just by increasing how many more cars, right? If your average ticket is X and you increase your cars during the peak periods by just, however many, how much money you're actually leaving on the table, right? That's it. That's part of it. That's part of the package, 100% free, as is a case study where we outlined a leadership approach to profit, increasing sales by 20K and profit 17K in just 28 days through some of the stuff that David and I talk about. And we were just focusing on throughput. Okay. And then we also, with that, there's a 15-minute video walkthrough. If you're not much of a reader, in there is a 15-minute walkthrough. I'm in front of my blackboard, listing out the steps. Here's how you do it, this, that, and the other thing, walking you through the entire X's and O's. And if you want to work more closely with myself and David as well, there's also an opportunity to have us hold you by the hand, 100% free of charge for 28 days, right? I would take that offer. A manager, I'm not sure call whatever you want, manager mentorship program, whatever, right? But here's the thing. David and I are only two people. We don't have infinite time. We only got 24 hours a day, just like you, right? So you need to get on that list. We can only take on one person at a time, right? And that's the offer. get on that. So again, we'll put that link in the show notes, that entire playbook with all those tools, 100% free. And with that, hope you guys got a lot out of this episode. I enjoyed doing it.
It was fun.
We'll talk to you guys next time.
Yeah.